Alright, BoobTube, back working on the Miata. Today, we're doing a cold air intake for the carburetor. Let's get into it. Alright, so I do a lot of send cut send stuff, and this is going to be the cold air intake box for the carburetor. So I got to figure out a way to fold these up so that I can test fit it, because right now it won't clear everything that's around it, as you can see. And then eventually I'm gonna have to cut like a slot in here that I'll aluminum foil tape for the fuel line to come in and hang out right there. And then got a 3-inch hole that I'm gonna weld up a piece of tubing to, so that I can build some tubing across that will come across here, run underneath the light, and I'm gonna hole saw right here and put the filter right down here, because if you see up in there, it's going to be a nice big old, actually you can probably see better from here, nice big old area back in here for an intake. So let's get into it. Alright, I didn't show you folding me at all. I did was, once I got the relief cuts put in, just step on it and it bent right over. So I know for version 2, if this section doesn't fit correctly, which we're fixing to check right now, if this doesn't fit correctly, I know I need to add some relief cuts for the bends, and all that can be welded up and everything. So let's see if this fits on here. Moment of truth. Hopefully it does, and I don't have to remake everything. Oh, that's tight. So, alright, that means that, oh, there's a lip there that's nice to sit on. Okay, so this right here, I'm gonna have to etch out a little bit so that everything else sits correctly, because right now it's got to sit on the back side of it for it to come down. So I will probably, I don't know, I might grind that down or whatnot, but that looks pretty daggone good as long as it clears and once that's on there, which it will, but it won't be that offset. It'll sit more flat. But yeah, that's gonna work out great. Big old hole here. Here's to put it in perspective what this is gonna end up like. Something like that with a I don't know if I'll do this or use a 45. Probably use a 45 to weld in there. That way it comes straight over to where the hole's gonna be. But yeah, that works out great. All right, I'm excited for that. All right, so we will get back to this tomorrow. Alright, so did a little bit of grinding and a little bit of cutting, and we're pretty much there. All that I need to do now is to weld the edges up and weld the relief cuts up that I did so that the sides would fold over. I didn't film me actually bending them. All I did was step on the edge and they folded over real easy, so plus side. So I'll have to remember that if I ever make a second version, and then you can see all the additional like edging that I had to do for the air horns to fit. So I'm going to set this up and get everything set up for me to do some aluminum TIG welding and get to welding it up. Here we go. All right. Well, it's welded up. It's not exactly the best welds, but they will hold. So now we're on to test fitting. I'm trying to make sure that I can pick this bad boy up and then not obliterate my hand. So now got to figure out what we're gonna do with the tube. So set this bad boy on there. I thought I had 45-degree silicone couplers, but I don't. Everything that I have is just straight. So we got a 45 elbow. We got to figure out how much of that I want to be, over that way. So if we do this and we cut it back, I don't know, 4 inches or so, it'll be off of the coils and it should kind of head in the direction that I need it to. So I'm gonna cut this bad boy up and we'll get to going. Okay, so I think I'm gonna end up doing something like this instead of having the giant elbow. That way I'll just order some silicone fittings. That way I've got some movement in my piping, so I don't have to worry about the motor rocking under RPM and throttle on and off. So yeah, so I think this is where I'm gonna stop for the day. I still got to weld in a MPT bung for the air temp sensor, but so far so good. This is turning out to be a very successful project. So I'm excited. Hopefully this brings my inlet air temps down, way down, but we'll find out. Deuces, guys. Alright, moment of truth, see if this all lines up and works out and I can actually screw stuff into it. Yeah, it's a nice tight fit. Just what I want. And I believe this is the right Allen through this. It's not. It's size down. All right, let's get this going. Alright, boob tube, you saw me kind of fitting that up. There's the finished box. Now we're going to build the tubing over. So this shouldn't take too much longer, but pretty happy with that. I still need to seal up the bottom of it because the outline is not perfect around the bottom of the carburetor, but it's close enough to where a piece of foil tape will seal it all up. So let's get started. All right, so got back from vacation and I decided to change up my tubing routing for the intake. So I went ahead and got most of it done. Actually, all of it's done. The only thing that's not done is a water shield for the filter for when it rains, so that it doesn't get the tire doesn't throw an obscene amount of water up on the filter. But it shouldn't matter because it's facing down, so it shouldn't suck it up too bad. But I don't plan on driving it in the rain anytime soon. So I just bought some 3-inch brake duct tubing because I got to figuring out like my elbows, and I wasn't gonna be able to buy a long enough piece of straight tubing. I was gonna have to buy 2 and then cut them up and weld them together, and it was gonna be way more than it needed to be, just because I needed like a 26-inch piece of straight tube, and all I could get was like 22 or 24 inches. So I decided to go with this. This is, fire resistant and everything else. It's supported so it doesn't get anywhere near the wires. So I made a little aluminum bracket, just a little L zip tie there, and then this one actually holds it in, keeps it from falling down, so on and so forth. A little bracket that bolts into an existing bolt hole. They're not pretty, but function over form. So next is doing a test drive and seeing how much my inlet air temperatures come down, and that'll probably be the next video.